Saltwater History, episode 181, Thursday night. Rich Hyde, what's going on?
Oh, just a little bit of larceny at the highest levels of state
What's
going
new?
on at the various rungs. It just never ends.
Did you know that we can walk through TSA with our shoes on now?
Oh, what a great liberty we've been afforded.
It feels like 1776 is back. I felt like
Yeah.
1776 walking through.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure, given the context. Yeah.
What do you want to focus on today?
This new story that's popping in California, in Southern California, in response to the Pacific Palisade in Southern California wildfires around LA, and where the money, the aid money has gone from the various concerts and fundraisers, even some of the federal funds. Where has it all gone? Has it gone to rebuild lower class and middle class? And hey, I wouldn't even mind if it went to building some upper class homes, right? I mean, after all, it's through the sheer incompetence of the governor and the local officials like Karen Bass that, and the various government agencies delegated powers to prevent such catastrophes from happening that allowed the catastrophe to transpire. I mean, shouldn't those people get compensated as well? Beyond the fact that, of course, the insurance companies, everyone wants to demonize the state farms and the progressives and the all states of the world for not affording the people or pulling back on homeowners insurance in the area. Well, they just read the tea leaves. Insurance companies are risk assessors. They read the tea leaves after all these insane policies that allowed for the fires to and the conflagration to start and then spread. They're not going to insure your home if they're going to not arrest literal arsonists who are starting fires and then don't do anything to clear brush or do anything count for the shortage of water in the area. As tragic as it all was for the people living in the region.
I can't believe you're defending the progressives.
Hey, so
Couldn't resist. Couldn't
yeah.
resist. So, you know what? It actually reminded me a little bit of the Chicago, the chicken wing story. But that
Uh-huh.
this is like $100 million, right?
Correct.
Of money. I mean,
Yes. So $101 million dollars at last count was raised by this, of course, the celebrities in the celebrity culture in LA. They have to have a concert and have celebrities go on and raise money for the downtrodden people who are homeless. And an investigative reporter, Susan Pashko, her own house had happened to be burned in the fire and lost in the fire. Well, she did some reporting after receiving calls from people in the area, and not $1 has gone to the people who have lost their homes and had their properties destroyed. Let's go ahead and take a look at just a segment of a piece that ran on Fox 11 in Los Angeles.
That star-studded concert that raised $100 million for wildfire victims. But where did all that money go? Investigative journalist Sue Pasco has been digging for answers, and what she's discovered might just surprise you. And Sue Pasco, she joins me now live on set. You are the editor of Circling the News.
Yes,
we can clearly see that. Thanks for the work that you're doing. So this is personal and professional for you because you lost your home in the Palisades fire, but that's not necessarily how this story landed in your lap. How did this all come to be?
A reader sent me a little note and said, I've never seen any fire aid money. How do I apply for fire aid money? And I thought, well, I've never thought about that. There's 12,000 people, basically 12,000 homes gone. Those people probably want to know where the money is. This will be an easy task to find out. So I contacted the Annenberg. They never responded.
And the Annenberg is
Foundation, because they are overseeing the wildfire funds, yes. So I emailed them several times. They never responded. I called them several times. They never responded. And finally, it was like almost 2 weeks later, a woman got back to me and she said, oh, I'm sorry for the delay. The person you need to speak to is Chris Wallace. He's a media spokesperson for wildfire funds. So I contacted Chris and I said, victims want to know when they can get their money. Seems like a very simple question. He said, basically, they don't. All this money are going to nonprofits, and then nonprofits will take care of making sure the money's distributed. So I looked at initially they gave $50 million to about 120 nonprofits, And I looked at these nonprofits, and one of them said, we help mobile home parks. And there were two mobile home parks in the Palisades, all low income. And so I contacted the people there. They had never received any money. They had never heard of that.
Wild about wildfires, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, who would think? And I wonder, I mean, this isn't the first wildfire that California's ever had, right?
Of
So
course not.
how has this been handled in the past too?
With competency, I mean,
Right.
so obviously there are natural disasters that are avoidable. The San Francisco earthquake at the turn of the century in 1906, I believe it was 1906 that transpired. I mean, where you had essentially the city of San Francisco was destroyed in that earthquake. You had the earthquake in the famous World Series earthquake in Northern California in 1988. I was watching television. I was watching that World Series when the TV feed went away for a moment. And then people were wondering, and then they broke away from the World Series to show the double-decker bridge that had collapsed over the bay, which was, wow, was that shocking. So those sorts of things, while they can be prepared for, are ultimately devastating and not necessarily something that you can intervene to absolutely eliminate any of the death and destruction. But these wildfires, come on. I mean, furthermore, as the tweet that I posted in response to the news segment from Fox 11 shows, it this bears the marks of how is this episode different than Lahaina in Hawaii, where the both federal funds and private funds that went to support the victims in Lahaina never end up in the people's hands and end up going to fueling already connected crony institutions and NGOs that have at best tangential connection to any charitable activity that might go on there. As Sue Pasco pointed out in that piece in the extended thing, which we didn't show, a lot of the money was going to NGOs that were to help homeless people. Now, there's that's quite ironic and a little bit of inversion in and of itself because she even exclaims, "Well, we're all homeless now, so I guess it's somewhat related." Or there was an organization that cleaned preschool bathrooms, as if you have an organization that has to go in and is a special NGO that cleans preschool bathrooms. That's very odd, isn't it? Well, anyway, that money went there. Maybe there are preschool bathrooms that need to be cleaned in the area, but probably not the priority when you have tens of thousands of people who are homeless as a result of the catastrophe. So the point being here is that as I retweeted or I posted the old saying that is derived from the greatest ANCAP and libertarian thinkers in the spirit of Bastiat and Rothbard in particular, is that the government acts both as arsonist and firefighter. Very applicable in this situation. Not terribly different from the way the government and state has reacted to natural disasters ranging from Hurricane Katrina all the way through to the earthquakes in Haiti and the Clinton Foundation scam, where you had really hundreds of millions of dollars raised that never found its way to Haiti whatsoever. Instead, winds up in these NGOs that are all connected with the political class. So it always ends up acting like the arsonist and then the firefighter. But I suppose a bit of irony here. They're not even good at the firefighting anymore, right? They want to
Yeah.
appropriate funds and pay for union pensions of firefighters, but they actually do the firefighting. They're not equipped to do so. So they're no longer even, the state's no longer servicing as a firefighter. Now it's just using the occasion of arson and firefighting and pseudo firefighting as a scam. And so, as the state has been in its entirety in its existence, in its complete operation and modus operandi from the beginning, and will in perpetuity, given its nature, given its essence, it's not good at. It's a good at art. It's pretty good at being an arsonist. Not great at firefighting anymore. But in terms of being a larcenist, con scam artist, which then is even more infuriating because not only are they stealing, that is to say, the regime and the system is stealing from you, but then they have the audacity through propaganda to tell you that they deserve to be still assigned the moniker of public servant. It's akin to someone robbing you and then demanding that you thank them for robbing you. Salute them as they pass. Or as I love that analogy of Dave Smith that Dave Smith always uses in regard to U.S. foreign policy. If you went to a bar with your buddy and every week you go there with your buddy picks a fight with someone and you end up getting your ass kicked because you're defending your buddy after you tell him time and time again, stop picking fights, we shouldn't be going into this, and you get your ass kicked. At some point, you have to wonder how much of a friend you have in that guy. And then secondly, why do you keep going back to it? Thirdly, you'd have to consider your own intelligence to be at a very low IQ level if you keep returning.
Yeah.
To our the various responses to when government acts. And really, they unfortunately span this spectrum, which produces, on one hand, moral indifference and moral hazard. We see social and societal problems that are endemic to the modern time, to our own time, contemporary times, whether it's ranging from homelessness to drug addiction to impoverishment, you name it, even all the way through to rampant sexual promiscuity or something like that. And we say, well, since we're paying so much in taxes, shouldn't I've already contributed to the institution that's supposed to solve these things and wash our hands of it, as Pilate might. But then on the other side of that spectrum, especially those to whom is assigned the responsibility, i.e., government officials, elected or appointed or not, doesn't matter. Well, then they get a messianic complex. The more moral hazard we allow, the more indifference we show, and the more funds we keep plying them with or supplying them with, the more they ply their evil trade of state coercive power. And they have the, again, temerity to assign to it or describe it as altruism. The best thing to do is to, if you'll allow me to quote Voltaire, as much as I want to do so, he was right about one thing. He assigned this phrase to the wrong institution, namely the church. He should have assigned it to the state. Écraser l'infâme means get rid of, eradicate the evil thing. Eradicate the evil thing. So as we were talking just before we hit record, I listened to the Jeffrey Epstein episode with Daryl Cooper and Tucker Carlson. And I wonder, well, I'm sure he doesn't think about this, but it was just about what, 2 or 3 weeks ago that I got in a little tiff online with Daryl Cooper because he said something, well, not profound nor accurate, but insulting toward the Austrian School of Economics. And I shot back at him and he basically said, oh, I've read all those books. Well, buddy, you obviously didn't understand. There's a difference between reading and understanding. But all that being the case, I don't mean to strike at the ethos of Daryl Cooper because he's fantastic in so many other realms. And if you haven't listened to that episode, it's a must listen. But I do get frustrated with those who decry the spiritual warfare that is clearly going on. Not so much decry the spiritual warfare, but point out that something malfeasant and malevolent and altogether diabolical is going on in the highest ranks of government, whether they be in Brussels or Stuttgart or Paris, or Kiev or Washington. And then they just sort of scratch their heads and say, oh, it's so deplorable, without understanding the source of it, that which empowers that evil to go on. And I'm not under the delusion that it's just it's not the visible heads of government. They're all owned and they're all honeypotted and the like. And there are powers that exist beyond them that are pulling the levers. But the preferred demonic instrument, and we don't have to go any further than Luke chapter 2 with the temptation. The preferred clear instrument of the demonic is the state. It's through the state that these evils are permitted and perpetuated. So get rid of the evil thing. Stop wondering, scratching your head and going, oh, it's just a shame we can't do anything about it. It's like that great meme that you see when it shows images of corruption in Washington and war and all the manifest evils, homelessness and the like. And then it says vote harder, right?
Yeah.
Or voting, and the better means they'll say voting won't fix this. Voting harder won't fix this. It's not gonna fix this. Your cooperation in a system that leaves you to the illusion that you can alter it in some even minuscule way, is a distraction. Stop being, we shouldn't be distracted. We only have so much time on this earth, in this temporal realm, in this mortal coil. Let us not be distracted by those who wish to destroy our agency, those who wish to destroy both our material and spiritual well-being and health.
Do we have to have a deeper dialogue about nonprofits in general? I'm not saying
I don't
like
know. They all seem to be evil.
it just feels like
I
once
mean,
they
down
get
to
to
Catholic charities.
it just feels like once they reach a certain size, the ceiling seems to be kind of low on how good a charity can be once it hits or how non-corrupt a charity can be once it reaches a certain size, or a nonprofit, and then the demonization of profit in general. And then
Yes.
if somebody tells you they started a nonprofit, like that's automatically good,
Yes, right, right,
right?
right. Well, this is, and Mises goes into this in his book on the anti-capitalist mentality, right? I mean, we've said it time and time again. And this is, it just reminds me of when I would be at Fenwick and I would pray for business leaders,
Right.
right? Or I would pray for people who are on Wall Street, right? And corporate CEOs. And the reason I would do that is because it was also contrarian, as we talked about so much in the past. I like stirring the pot. But more than that, it was to convey to my students that where you most advance people's standard of living and what we might identify as something of the opposite of the misery index, but the happiness quotient is through engagement, honest, forthright, which is always the best, means by which to engage and participate in the marketplace. So Chris Farrar can say whatever he wants about the evils of capitalism and then spout out all these attributes that have nothing to do with the free market
Right.
and are simply misnomers and wrongly attributed attributes, wrongly attributed features. Yeah. Oh, but what about this corrupt merger between Norfolk Southern and Union Pacific? Dude, if it's corrupt, it's because the state arranged it, or that they got cronies in Omaha and Sacramento who are making sure that this takes place. In the free market, it's just, again, as Mises so eloquently puts it, it's almost to the point where we have to name the podcast after this concept. But in the world, you have really two options: either the consumer, those who are in need of some good or service, or of want or some good or service, is king, or you have some outside bureaucrat institution that determines it for them. One, the previous option is a world that demands the exercise, the protection of individual rights and property in particular, and the exercise of agency and freedom. The other is slavery. It's not that difficult. It's really the more you lean into one, the more it resembles a life of perpetual chattel servitude. And then the more you lean toward the life of laissez-faire, the more you have clear prosperity. It's not just this outcome-based circular logic that you might engage in, but it's simply logical and rational from even the most novice economist and someone who really studies human action.
Yeah. Yeah, the gap between the public perception on profit versus non-profit is just way
Yeah.
way too wide.
Well,
Way
I
too wide.
mean, think about it. You have and how radically altered American values and culture have become even in the backdrop of the Gilded Age. Yeah, I mean, think about it. We're inundated with stories in our history classes as if Howard Zinn should be taken as gospel that Americans time and time again were either convinced or more so bamboozled by the supposed robber barons and business magnates, so much so that all the all the men who could vote kept putting presidents in who were generally laissez-faire until, I mean, even McKinley, right?
Yeah.
And the even McKinley, his motto was prosperity and protectionism. That's what he wanted to continue having on. Now, of course, you and I are against protectionism, but and he was in favor of, and he wanted to make sure that the gold standard continued on, and you didn't have bimetallism, even at that late stage of the Gilded Age. So people were, I mean, think about going up to someone in 1885 and saying, profit's evil. They'd be, okay, well, I've heard of this Marx guy writing in Engels, and I've heard
Yeah.
of Henri Saint-Simon or these wackos, and that's clearly not what's driving things here, because what's driving things here is profit and the prospect of profit that's making all of our lives, as Tom Woods points out very well in the Politically Incorrect Guide, and Bob Murphy, and you name it, our guy Ben Powell of Socialism Sucks at Texas A&M. Well, they're so eloquently pointing out, and Gabriel Coco. I mean, the list goes on of economists that point out the economic evidence from the era, but it's like all boats rose in that laissez-faire, generally laissez-faire environment. You still had these anomalies like Sherman antitrust in 1890 that were trying to quash the good gravy train. It was like a steak and gravy train. The meat was there; it wasn't just gravy. And then yeah, so this demonization of profit, as if somehow, I mean, Thomas Sowell's quote was always, how'd it go? It said, "Why is it greed for me to desire that I keep what I make or the fruits thereof, but it's altruism of the person who takes it from me to give to someone else." Like, well, how do those two things? You'd only have to have a sociopathic mind like that of Marx, Engels, Trotsky, and Keynes to deduce that that's somehow logical or just.
Yeah. I don't know. Free market's a miracle. And
Yeah, it's free market is a miracle. I was thinking about that. Maybe it's, and you can tell me how relevant it is, but what's been reverberating in my head is the story or the account when the apostles come and they ask Jesus. I want to say, is it in all the synoptics? I can't remember. I think a version of it is certainly in Mark and might be in Matthew and Luke too. I don't think it's in John, but I could be wrong. Someone could check me on this. But when they come in and said, "Oh, we have to pay the tax," it's either the temple tax. I don't think it's the temple tax because they give a denarius. Um, and Jesus commands them, "Well, go catch this fish, and the fish shall have a gold coin in its mouth, and that denarius is equivalent, the gospel writers say, to essentially 1 year salary, and it's
yeah.
with that they pay the tax." Everybody's too many times that's been interpreted as, well, Jesus is acquiescing to the state here because he's giving the taxes to Caesar, and it's like, okay, I'm going to use my divine power here to just let's get past this. Let's not be distracted by it. There's still salvific work to be done. So go to the fish, right? Go to that stinking fish, pull the quid out, and hand it to those swine. That's the attitude. Even you get that tone because it's such a short, kind of curt account. Yeah. So
It's so dismissive. It's like,
yes, that's right. It's like, oh, okay, well, I guess we have to do this. Right? Like,
yeah.
you guys are bothering me about this, right?
Yeah. That's a great way of putting it.
It's true. It's like I'm multiplying loaves in fish, right? And we're worried about the tax we got to pay to the dirty Romans. Just go find it, and then let's
Here
keep
you
on
go.
keeping on.
Right. Yeah. No, I think that's definitely relevant.
Okay.
Anything else on California nonprofits?
No, I think we covered that. We could also talk about a village more proximate to us that wants more than just its measure in gold and really doesn't like profits for sure.
I would love to talk about that town.
Okay,
Here it
let's hit it.
is.
Meanwhile in Oak Park.
We should go to your gay suburb now.
The People segment brought to you by Meanwhile in Oak Park, brought to you by Trinity Brewing. I got sipping on a Cristeros tonight. And we've got two stories tonight. Turn in your parents. No, I'm just kidding. Oak Park debuts online help portals for police and staff.
Okay.
Portals will allow people to report crimes and other issues. Oak Park has opened new ways for people to report issues to both police and village staff via the village's website. Oak Park has launched a new police to citizen portal that allows people to report non-emergency incidents to police and updated an online form that lets people ask for help from the village on other matters. The tool offers a new way for residents to get access to services already offered by Village Hall. The Police to Citizen portal can be used to report a variety of non-emergency issues that occur in Oak Park, but should not be used to report incidents involving violence. Quote, this portal can be used for instances that involve theft.
Well, wait. Oh, wow. Isn't that amazing? They
Wow, that
don't
is
believe that's
amazing.
violence.
That's amazing.
That
That's amazing.
is talk about the anti-capitalist mentality. There it is, front and center. Theft, well, that's not violence. When obviously, to anyone who has a functioning brainstem, that is violence.
This
Lost
portal can
property.
be, well, I don't know if you know this, but in the state of Illinois, you can get, for example, for concealed carry users, I don't know if there was a precedent set in one court case, but supposedly if it's like a stolen item or something,
Mm-hmm.
like it's not, or somebody's taking your car, right?
Yes.
Since it's not bodily harm, they don't consider that like grounds to use a weapon.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, well, I'll let God sort that out.
This portal can be used for instances that involve theft, lost property, or damaged property, the village said of the program. This does not include someone physically taking something from your person or any instance where an injury occurred or a weapon was involved. Some examples of instances where the system can be used: package delivery theft, graffiti on your property, property that is missing from your home, or leaving items in a restaurant, items stolen from your garage or yard or vehicle, keying of a vehicle, etc.
Again, what's the purpose of having a police force? What is the purpose of having a constabulary force or anything along those lines if you're not going to protect that basic right? It's amazing too because ANCAPs like Rothbard were often criticized because they would, and Hans Hermann Hoppe too, they would have the tendency, and Hoppe still does obviously because he's still alive, of saying that actually there's really only one unalienable right, and it's property. You property coming from Latin propere, which means of your own. It's your body, it's your stuff, it's your work, it is your possession, it is your land. And to whatever degree it's infringed upon, obviously, if you infringe upon that right of another to their body, you're harming them, injuring them, or in the worst case scenario, killing them. Yes. Well, and so as such, really all rights derive from your right to property. Well, this is such a negation of that that only can come from a really convoluted series of syllogisms that emerge from basic communism, right? I mean, from each according to their need, or from each according to their ability, to each according to their need. I mean, how much are we supposed to do here when someone extracts your wealth from you?
Imagine somebody stealing your car and
Yeah,
you fill out an online form. That's what they're suggesting.
I know. It's it's nuts.
The village said incident reports made via the portal that require mental health services, follow-ups, or other social services support for residents in need will be coordinated through the village's ECHO program, the alternative response program the village introduced earlier this year.
That's such a great acronym for that, whatever it stands for, because it's very much attuned to what it performs, correct? My car is stolen. My car is stolen. My car is stolen. And nothing's done about it. Right?
Well, this is the, yeah, I get what you're saying, but this is like the mental health thing.
Oh, okay. Oh, I
So
see.
they're saying if
They
you
should
they're
call the
saying
whole
if,
thing Echo Program.
right. They're
Yeah.
saying if you require mental help, that goes to Echo. But maybe
What?
the better name is for this whole
How does
thing.
that? Oh. So I'm sorry. Do you report yourself to this website thing, or do you report other people who need mental health?
That's a great question. It says for residents in need. So my guess is it's probably both, but I'm sure most of the inquiries they get are for people reporting on themselves.
Yeah.
Residents can also use the portal to request traffic accident reports. Most of those reports can be made available instantly through the portal after a requester pays a $5 fee. But report
What the hell? It's like you're
What
getting
a
robbed
joke.
and
What
then
a
you're giving the
joke.
robber a tip.
A
Thank
$5.
you. I know you're not doing anything, you're just taking from me, but please, here's a little extra for the larceny.
But reports on certain accidents, like those involving juveniles, significant injuries, hit and run incidents, or fatalities, will still require a formal Freedom of Information Act request, the village said. Oak Park's newly updated report and issue online form will make it easier for residents to report problems and get help from appropriate village department, the village said. The user-friendly tool allows residents to easily report non-emergency service requests to the village of Oak Park, the village said. Developed through a collaboration between the village's public works and IT departments and municipal GIS partners. The platform, is that the private company that does all the work? I
Maybe.
mean, the platform streamlines communication between the public and village staff. Most of the issues well suited to be reported using that form fall under the Public Works Department, including problems related to garbage, potholes, streetlights, sidewalks, and water and sewer systems. Residents can also use the online form to make business complaints, report health issues, animal issues, permit issues, and parking issues. You can also submit general questions for village staff through the form.
Oh, that's opening up something for hot water history to do.
Q&A with Vicky
Why-
Skimmon.
Yeah, why are you so retarded? Um, but no, of course, the question that this all begs is if they're going to do this online portal, why do you need a new village hall?
That's right. That's kind of the elephant in the room.
It's a big elephant.
Yeah. It's like an expensive one
Expensive
too.
too. Mhm.
Yeah. Here's a stand for freedom. Food truck regulations rejected by Oak Park trustees and leave ice cream trucks alone, says trustee
What
Corey
the?
Wesley.
Did I just step into a wormhole or something?
What's going on here?
Oh, look at that. I think that guy's giving him a blessing.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really nice. What is that? I think that's like some Middle Eastern Christian guy who's running a ice cream truck. He's giving that little boy a blessing on his head. Wow.
An ordinance drafted by Oak Park Village staff to protect the interests of brick and mortar restaurants was rejected by the village board this week.
This is insane.
The ordinance would have blocked food trucks from operating within 250 feet of a brick and mortar restaurant, quote, selling of the same category of food or drink, according to village documents. The lopsided vote at the July 22nd board meeting followed a disjointed discussion on that matter, with village president Vicky Skaman telling her colleagues that she felt they weren't understanding the limited scope of the ordinance they voted against.
I mean, after all, I, Vicky Skaman, have taken money from the restaurateurs. So you're really not understanding the scope of what I'm going to have to pay back to them if I can't get this cronyistic injunction placed upon the food truck operators.
Oh, she's salty. We're going to get to a quote in a little bit. After the vote, she had no interest in seeing another version of the ordinance back at the table, at least not anytime soon.
Bitch.
Quote, with the number of things we have coming up on our agenda, I don't think I want to see this again, said Skaman, who was the only one to vote in favor of passing the proposed ordinance. The only vote. We are moving on, and no, I don't want to see it again.
She takes failure very well, huh? Not like a petulant child at all.
The proposed ordinance followed a March 18th discussion on food truck regulations brought to the board by former trustees Robbie Paracott and Lucia Robinson, who pushed for a conversation on the topic after hearing from a local restaurant owner who said a food truck had been poaching their customers.
This is
interesting.
Do you know that there's a whole Tuttle Twins on the food trucks?
No.
Yeah, it's called a food truck disaster or something like that. Yeah. It's all about protectionism.
Quote, simply what we're doing is responding to the board's direction to bring it back, said village manager Kevin Jackson. In March, the board heard comments from Carla Linares, owner of Tacos 76 on Madison Street. who said that her business had been disrupted when a taco truck parked a few feet from her shop's front door. Linares said that when she complained to the truck's owner, they told her they weren't breaking any rules laid out in the village code. Little Madison Street standoff.
Yeah, I like it.
Village staff told the board that Linares' business is no longer experiencing issues with that food truck. They said one other taco restaurant had experienced the same situation in 2020, but that was the only other incident brought to the village's attention.
Mm.
Mobile food vendors operating in Oak Park currently only have to follow parking laws, pass health inspections, and pay the business license fee to serve customers in the village. With Parcott and Robinson no longer on the board, there wasn't much interest in applying stricter regulations.
Ravi's on the wrong side of this one.
Yeah. Board newcomers Jenna Leving Jacobson and Derek Eater both said they weren't convinced that business owners are having enough problems with food trucks to warrant new regulations.
Something's in the water.
Quote, it seems like it adds restrictions and does more harm than good, Eater said.
Hey.
We're trying to curb a very small level of bad behavior that's occurred over a number of years. It doesn't seem justified to me.
Hey, how about that? Now apply that logic to the 50,000 other regulations that are bombarding Oak Parkers on a daily basis.
Trustee Corey Wesley made it clear during a few points in the discussion that his support for the ordinance melted when he considered how it could put restrictions on neighborhood ice cream trucks. Quote, I don't want ice cream trucks in this. Ice cream trucks are not food trucks. There's a difference, he said. I don't think ice cream trucks should be regulated under a food truck ordinance. No one is going to be concerned about an ice cream truck pulling up and taking their business. I'd like to see an exemption for ice cream trucks.
It's so subjective. I like ice cream trucks. They're not food trucks. I don't know what you would call ice cream, but I want an exemption for ice cream trucks because I like ice cream. Those taco people, they can suck dick. You know, that's it for Meanwhile in Oak Park.
Meanwhile in Oak Park.
What would have happened if I'd gone for it and just said, no, I'm gay? That's the people segment.
You know there's more insanity going on there and dysfunction, but
It was actually a pretty slow week.
good. I did see there was, if you want to go back to that, there was a little byline at the end.
I know what you're gonna say.
The one that says Vicky Skaman is a tremendous leader.
No, it's just Vicky Skaven is a leader.
Letter written by Vicky Skaman.
Brian Straw. So this was probably during election time.
Oh,
So,
okay. All right. Well, we don't have to go over that, but come on. So Vicky's leadership.
yeah, this is kind of a Ravi hit piece.
I gotcha. Oh, well, we don't have to go through that. I just thought it was kind of funny that
I saw that too.
it's still being put at the bottom of the website. So
Yeah.
anyway. All right. That was fun.
Another one in the books.
Yeah.
181. That's a lot of episodes.
That is a lot of episodes. We're coming up on 200.
200. Oh,
We got to do something fun for 200.
200. Is that going to be? That's going to be right at the end of the year, right?
Well, yeah, 20 weeks and yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be.
Thanks to
Maybe
everyone who's listening.
Maybe have like a little party extravaganza.
200th episode, Christmas party.
Yeah. So maybe I'll have a working draft of the book finally.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, could be. So, all right, Charlie. Continue to buy Tridentine Brewing and buy more stuff, especially these wonderful T-shirts that are Saint and Catholic themed, along with the express support of anarcho-capitalism and defiance of the state that the Saints were so apt and desirous to convey.
Amen.
Amen.
All right, everyone.
Take care. Peace.